Wait, you want to be Fire Lord? Fine, let's settle this. Just you and me, brother. The showdown that was always meant to be. Agni Kai!
You're on.
When you think of a final battle, what springs to your mind? The good guys standing tall and ready to defeat the enemy they've been waiting to face since their journey began? The bad guy at his full power and at the peak of their grand plan, ready to do everything in their power to prevent the good guy from winning? Do you imagine a grand display of power and determination from the opponents as they both realize that this is the moment that will decide both their fates? What do you feel? Proud of the hero for rising up? Fear the villain for whatever they could pull? Do you feel a sense of finality because no matter who you think will win in the end, nothing will ever be the same after this? Now, final battles are always a tense moment for the audiences and the characters they are watching. Yes, they can be as grand and fantastic as a clash of green and red lightsabers between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, with rebel fighters scrambling to hold the line against the enemy ships, but they can also be as intimate as a conversation between two people who have gone through immense changes over the course of their story and had nothing left to do but talk. Final battles can be set on a battlefield, in a house, in space, or a courtroom, involving grand armies or just between two. Despite the setting or the characters involved, a final battle must invoke a feeling of closure in an audience, and Avatar: The Last Airbender seems to pull this off every single time. Now, Avatar has several defining battles in its narrative, including the fight between Fire Lord Ozai and Avatar Aang. But today I want to examine the final battle between two siblings ending up on the opposite side of a war that started long before them, but has defined both of their lives. I'll use this fight to describe just how to make a battle like this as intense and gripping as possible, while also having immense narrative value. Well, my lovely listeners, let's take a look at the last Agni Kai between Azula and Zuko.
Sorry it has to end this way, brother.
No, you're not.
I suppose the best way to start is with the fight itself. I'm sure many of us remember watching the final Agni Kai with rapt attention as we witnessed the clash of two near firebending masters, battling under the enforced power of Sozin's Comet. The animation beautifully displayed the red and blue flames of both competitors fighting with everything they had. Zuko and Azula, both crowned royals fighting for the role of Fire Lord, are two very different characters, and while they both are firebenders, they have very different fighting styles, especially now. Now, Azula has always been a gifted bender, able to surpass Zuko, her older brother, from a very early age, and that natural talent shines through despite her emotional state during the battle. Our previous experience with Azula's fighting style showed a precise and deadly method where she uses everything around her as an advantage, that she'll break you down both physically and emotionally, and enjoy doing so, right before taking the last finishing blow, and we have seen her almost never hesitate when taking that last strike. Azula at this battle may be more frenzied and unstable, but she still implements these methods when battling her brother. Zuko's past battles, on the other hand, have shown us that while he is a powerful bender, he could rarely hold back his impulsiveness during a fight. He fought determination, brute power, and anger, and he, at the time, that this was bending shined. He has since learned that firebending isn't about anger or power, but the ability to use the natural fire within and express it in a way that doesn't have to be violent. The near-silent battle is a story in itself, and the score behind it showed just how dire the situation was. Their fighting has evolved immensely, and it shows in their movements, but the defining parts of their battle style, Zuko's impulsive drive, and Azula's deadliest manipulation, especially shine later on when Katara gets involved. It is also where we see this battle spread in meaning and significance from just Zuko and Azula.
But I didn't forgive him. I'll never forgive him. But I am ready to forgive you.
When Zuko impulsively taunts Azula about her reluctance in using her lightning strike, a move we have seen her use many times before, and one that almost killed Aang, she does indeed use it, in one final manipulative act against Katara. Zuko, without thinking, runs and takes the strike while attempting to redirect it, and is gravely wounded. Katara springs into action and takes on Azula while also trying to save Zuko. This moment may seem unnecessary to some, but Katara's involvement in this final battle not only has significance to all three of their arcs, but has significance to the story and its meaning as well. Zuko began his journey only really concerned for himself and reclaiming his honor. Though his selflessness shined through at moments, he was always goal-oriented, and the Zuko who began his journey would not have sacrificed himself and a battle for another person. Azula constantly looked down on others, especially nations that were conquered by the Fire Nation, and throughout her battle with Katara, she belittles her and treats her as nothing more than an annoyance rather than an actual threat, which is her fatal mistake. And Katara has had her life defined by the cruel effects of the Fire Nation's siege on the world. Her home, her culture, and her family have suffered under its wrath, and we have seen her disdain for the entire Fire Nation. To have her fight in a battle against the embodiment of that merciless thirst for power, Azula, but also trying to protect Zuko, a fire-bending monarch who was her adversary at the very beginning, but not her friend and comrade, and winning shows a huge evolution in her story as well. A waterbender had ended one of the most important Agni Kais in their history, a battle traditionally only fought between firebenders. She did so, and she along with Zuko started a new chapter within the Fire Nation, one that wouldn't be built on just destruction and power, but one on balance, and cooperation, and repentance. A chapter that now had to involve the rest of the world, and not as their colonies, but as their equal. This final battle was bigger than just Zuko and Azula. It was bigger than Katara as well. And you got a true sense of that when everything came to a head.
I guess you just don't know people as well as you think you do. You miscalculated. I love Zuko more than I fear you.
No, you miscalculated. You should have feared me more.
I was never angry with you. I was sad because I was afraid you lost your way. I did lose my way. But you found it again.
Now, a final battle in its name implies that it happens at the end of a story. And while this isn't always true, it does need to occur at a major shift in the story. And this major shift is with the war in both Zuko and Azula's lives. The goal of this battle is clear, to become the new Fire Lord, but we as the audience know it goes far beyond that. Azula wants to enact her control over the entire nation and make her father proud, while Zuko wants to take the throne to change his nation and heal the world, and fight against his father. Both Zuko and Azula are at the climax of their journeys, and especially this final season showed the progression of both their arcs and how they ended up in the situation, along with the mindsets they gained as well. Zuko's redemption arc has been described as being the closest thing to perfect, for good reason, as we saw Zuko go from being an insecure and angry outcast to a selfless, humble young man who was committed to healing his trauma and making up for his and his people's past actions through change. Meanwhile, Azula went through an arc marked by devolution. She began as a confident and remorseless princess who believed she could control everything and everyone with absolute authority. And after being betrayed by her father, her closest allies, and even her own mind, we see the once mighty Azula reduced to bouts of raw emotional outbursts of paranoia and anger. And when the dust settled and everything was resolved, Zuko stood tall with his friend, and Azula dissolved into tears alone. With both their arcs complete, we feel the completeness of Zuko's rise and Azula's fall.
I thought I'd find you here.
Those summers we spent here seem so long ago. So much has changed.
The final note I want to make is that while I describe this as a perfect example of a final battle, and even though the hero did win in the end, the sense of happiness that would usually go with a victory like this isn't as present as it usually would be. These two enemies are two teenagers, two siblings, a brother and sister that are both used as pawns in a war their family started a long time ago. They were both pushed far beyond what they should have, abandoned by their mother, manipulated by their father, and while Azula's actions throughout the show cannot be forgotten or easily forgiven, even Katara and Zuko look away at Azula's breakdown with pity and sadness. This battle was needed, and it marked the end of the story. But it's also one that even we, the audience, know that should never have happened. That this battle may mark the end of this chapter in their lives, but could also be the start of a new one, for both Zuko and Azula.
Come down to the beach with me. Come on.